Hi, and we're back with some basic timing. And these, we're just working on lines 5 to 8. So we're looking at the page 4, right, at the bottom. So this is line 5. So we're just working on this line and then into the next page up to line 8, right? So it's just a few lines at a time. All right, so last time when we did basic timing, we were noticing that the two hands were always the same, right? Working through different note values, some long notes, some short notes. But now in line 5, we're starting to throw in rest values also. So that's a quarter rest. We've seen those before. It just means one beat of silence. So as you're playing this, you'll play the notes that you see. That's a C, an E, a D, and then stop. E, G, F, and stop, right? So just one beat of silence. Just make sure you cut off that previous note. So the first two measures would sound like this. You're going 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. Right, then you move on. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. As you look through the rest of the line, again, there's one beat of rest. It's in a different place, but it doesn't matter. You're just reading from left to right, whatever happens in time. First beat, second beat, rest for the third beat, and then play this. And then you have two half notes. So just remember that these bar lines are not places to stop. The only places that you're stopping are on those rests. Or you're stopping to hold a note longer, right? But the bar lines, you're just breezing right through them. It's just one count here, moving right into this one. So you can kind of ignore those lines. They're just to help your eye get situated as to which part you're playing at the moment. All right, so let's play line 5. So starting on a C, I'll just do right hand. And just remember, as you're playing this, it will be both hands, which I'll do in a little bit. So sometimes if you're practicing this, you can practice just left hand instead. So you're focusing on cows, C, right? All cows eat, and then down to the D and a rest. Okay, so line 5, just one hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And then moving onwards, line 6. Similarly, more rests. This is that half rest we've been looking at, right? If you extract it from those lines, if you stick it up here, right? It's just a little rectangle that sits on a line. It looks like a little hat. So a hat is a half, if you want to think of it that way. So it's two beats of silence. So you have a C and a D, and then you rest for 2 counts. And we've talked about when you're counting, when you're thinking about beats, you can also think about seconds. This is 1 second, 2 seconds, resting for 2 seconds, right? Onward, same idea, 2 beats of notes, 2 beats of silence. Here's a quarter rest, 1 beat of silence, right? So just really counting it out as we go. All right, let's try line 6. So 4 beats in the measure. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Anytime you want to pause and try it again or add the other hand, great. But we'll do all the lines in just a little bit. So moving on to line 7. So this is a 2 quarter rest. So you notice it's 2 beats of silence. They could have stuck a half rest there, right? It just means the same thing. But the half rest is usually either the first half or the second half, not the middle half. It just looks funny. So usually when you're resting the middle 2 beats, they separate it into 2 quarter rests. But it means the same thing, 2 consecutive beats of silence, right? So C, rest, rest. But definitely look ahead, because as you're looking, if you just glance, that's a big jump. That is a G. So for your right hand, it's a pinky. Onwards, right, that's also a jump. And again, no stopping here. So from that G, you're moving right to the D. And then moving around, here's a rest. So a little more jumping while you're resting and counting. All right, so let's do line 7. A little more challenging. Just look ahead. Okay, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, rest, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. But do notice as you're reading, the reading gets a little harder. If you have notes like these ones that are all in a row, there's no skipping, no jumping. If you know that's a D, then you're just rising. You don't have to think about every single letter because that will slow you down. Sometimes think about letters, sometimes think about intervals, right? That's up a second, up a second. So if you know you're playing, for example, the D is this finger, a second would just be here, another second is here. So you can kind of think in larger chunks if you're glancing at the intervals, right? It's a little simpler. All right, so think about seconds and thirds. It helps a lot. Line 8 is the last line for today for the basic timing. So this is a C, right? And then you have 3 beats of rest. And you notice they're not dotting rests. It's unusual to have dotted rests. So you have 1 beat here and 2 more beats, so a total of 3 beats. Quarter notes, but these are jumping. So again, just really focusing on, you might focus on G's, right? G's are good to remember, right? But really thinking about distance. That's a 4th, that's a 3rd. You can kind of start thinking about those intervals. This one is a whole rest, right? It looks kind of like the half rest, but it's upside down. If you extract it, the line's on top, so it looks like a little box like this, kind of. It's hard to draw like this. But the idea is it looks like a hole in the ground, I guess, if you extract it, right? So a hole is a hole. And then the last measure is just from the E, you're just heading downwards and holding there. All right, so let's do line 8, and we'll put them together. Okay, line 8, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, rest, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so not too bad. And again, just remember with the rests, just don't hang on to your notes. Make sure you let go. It's hard because I can't hear you play. So just make sure you kind of have to govern yourself there. When you have a hold, you actually hold the sound. So hold the key down so you can hear the sound lasting. But when you have a rest, that previous note, make sure you cut it off so you don't hear anything during the rest. All right, so let's go back to line 5. And we'll just take it all the way through. And I'll stick this up here so you can see my hands. All right. Let me move it over a little bit. And the idea is that as you're playing these, you're just making sure that both hands are doing the same thing at the same time, right? They're moving together, okay? Line 5, and we'll go all the way through line 8. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Line 6. 1, 2, rest for 2, but look ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Or line 7. 1, rest, rest. Rest. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Line 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. That's it for this part. Let me know if you have questions.